Without further ado, here are 10 pieces of malarkey that you're probably still spreading. Number 1. No one was ever burned to death at the Salem witch trials. Of the accused, 1 was killed by squishing, 19 were executed by hanging, and 15 died in prison. And by the way, that final one is considerably more intriguing than any cremation. Giles Corey, an 81-year-old man who was so sick with Salem's trash that he wouldn't even give the trial a respectful nod, was a badass. In an attempt to coax a confession, the community placed rocks on top of him and wedged him between 2 boards. However, he would only respond with more weight whenever they attempted to get anything out of him. This continued for 3 days straight until his death. Never expressing any doubt about whether he was a witch, one can only wonder. Number 2. The Great Wall of China is not the only man-made object visible from space. I don't know where you dipshits got this one from. First of all, there's no way you can see it with the unaided eye. The wall is like 30 meters thick at most, while the distance to outer space is generally recognized to be 100 kilometers up, known as the Kármán line. To give some perspective, that's like me holding up a standard-sized Lego dude from across the entire length of a football field and asking what color his shirt is. Also, there are plenty of man-made objects that are way bigger in terms of local surface area than the Great Wall, so even if it was visible, there's no way it would be the only one. Number 3, the pyramids weren't actually built by slaves. These laborers were well-liked members of the community. They worked 3-month shifts, consumed meat, and were even buried near to the tomb when they passed away. In actuality, that speaks more about the individuals working on the greatest achievements of humanity to date than anything else. You're absolutely right. If I devote years of my life to aiding in the construction of the space station, I would really like to have my own memorial floating beside it. That would be incredible. Number 4, Iron Maidens weren't actual torture devices used in medieval times. Basically, what happened is some archaeologists in the 1800s saw an old metal coffin and some spikes and said, "Yo, wouldn't it be wildin' if we put these things up in here? So that way if someone goes in it, they get poked in their bits." You are a sick man, Cornelius. I like it. Into the museum it goes. At least Iron Maiden was real. They were as real as it gets. Still are, don't you forget it. Number 5, the Og Buddha wasn't the obese guy. That's Budai, a Chinese folk character meant to represent Maitreya, aka a future Buddha. Number 6, Buddha wasn't a god either. He was just a guy named Gautama. Number 7, ever heard of a vomitorium? It turns out no. It's not a place where Roman nobles would go to make room for more pheasant spleen and lobster eyelids. It's just a big entranceway to the Colosseum that hordes of peasants would spew out of. Number 8, Washington never cut down a cherry tree in his youth. I don't really get this one, but apparently it's supposed to paint the man in a good light somehow. It's like, Chad, what the hell happened while we were gone? Where's the tree in the front yard? And yeah, that was me. Got bored. Just felt like vandalizing something, you know? Hey, what about my honest character? Number 9, you might have heard this one before. You know, Hitler was a jerk, you know? But hey, he made the Autobahn, so at least he was efficient. The Autobahn was already in place when Hitler came around. He only assisted in expanding it into fresh areas. Similarly, most of Italy's infrastructure renovations occurred prior to Mussolini's ascent to power in 1922. And even then, the trains weren't quite as punctual as he'd like you to believe. Mussolini didn't make the trains run on time. You will, regrettably, have to discover something else to appreciate about these fascists, similar to Hitler's tasteful speech patterns, or the way Mussolini says spaghetti. Number 10. Einstein never failed math. He had mastered both integral and differential calculus by the age of 15. 99% chance this one was just made up to make glue eaters feel better about themselves. Well, congratulations, Paul. Looks like you failed pre-algebra for the 3rd time. Afraid you still can't graduate. Well, hey, that means I'm still on par with famous smart science man. So, yeah, worship me. So, it just goes to show that we've all got a lot to learn about the world around us,